South Africa has been excluded from the upcoming G20 summit in the United States. No be me talking. When I tell una say if una continue this,
founding member of the G20 will not be present on the table. And this founding member did not voluntarily sit out the G20, but is the chairperson or the president.
It is finally over for South Africans. South Africans have been removed from the G20 Summit 2026 that will be happening in America. Hey. You all know that last year it was South Africa that hosted the G20 Summit, but this year they have been removed because of present xenophobic attacks that is being done to their fellow Africans residing in South Africa. It is over for South Africans. It is over. Let's take a look at the videos, and please, a lot of you have been watching my videos who do not like. Please keep sharing this video, like, and please subscribe. Let's take a look at the video, guys.
South Africa has been excluded from the upcoming G20 summit in the United States. No be me talking. When I tell una say if una continue this thing between African countries, it go affect una internationally. I talk this thing like play. See, it don't happen. There is nobody that is going to respect you when you yourself you don't respect your environment. Please, no be me talking. Una your minister talking here.
Founding member of the G20 will not be present on the table, and this founding member did not voluntarily sit out the G20, but is the chairperson or the president of the G20 that has excluded this founding member from the table. Can you still call this a G20? So we think it's necessary for all the G20 member states to define what platform will be in Washington. Can you still call it a G20 when a member of the G20, a founding member, is excluded?
There is no any international body that will respect a country that is showing violence to other national. No any international body we want to, interact with such people. They happen. When some of us, as you think say we small, they tell us say, no be so, then they do something. If you continue like that, you are affecting every other country around you. Global. It's going to affect you in future. I remember my first video, I mentioned it. I said your president used to participate in all these international summits and all of that. Then they see how you manage issue around you. Now you don't affect now. Internationally, they don't come out now. Locally, you cannot survive in isolation. You cannot survive. And what is annoying people is the way your president is handling it. He's handling it with confidence, like because he wants to win election. He agree with anything that the mob are doing is okay. It don't affect you now. No be me talking. Me, I just tell and say violence is not a solution to handle issues like this. There are better ways to do it, and violence is not one of them. Have a nice.
Founding member of the G20 will not be present on the table, and this founding member did not voluntarily sit out the G20, but is the chairperson or the president of the G20 that has excluded this founding member from the table. Can you still call this a G20? So we think it's necessary for all the G20 member states to define what platform will be in Washington. Can you still call it a G20 when a member of the G20, a founding member, is
in their own country or heading to the United States, right, where your administration is going to welcome them as refugees. Now this comes as you've halted virtually all refugee admissions for people fleeing famine and war from countries like Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Why are you creating an expedited path into the country for hunters but not others?
Because they're being killed, and we don't want to see people be killed. Now South Africa leadership is coming to see me, I understand, sometime next week, and we're supposed to have I guess a G20 meeting there or something, but we're having a G20 meeting. I don't know how we can go unless that situation's taken care of, but it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about, but it's a terrible thing that's taking place, and farmers are being killed. They happen to be white, but whether they're white or black makes no difference to me, but white farmers are being brutally killed and their land is being confiscated in South Africa. And the newspapers and the media, the television media doesn't even talk about it. If it were the other way around, they talk about it. That would be the only story we talk about. And I don't care who they are. I don't care about their race, their color. I don't care about their height, their weight. I don't care about anything. I just know that what's happening is terrible. I have people that live in South Africa. They say it's a terrible situation taking place. So we've essentially extended citizenship to those people and to escape from that violence.
South African president of all, Jacob Zuma, the former president of South Africa, then this Ramaphosa also, in their reign, in their term of office, they saw all these xenophobic activities happening. They never took any action. The march for march, all the things that are happening against immigrants. Now, Ramaphosa is saying that let the international community don't ban South Africa from traveling and all that and so forth. The EU, he said countries are calling him from Europe and giving South Africa ban. You understand? That was the consequences of the action of what they are doing in South Africa. There's not, you know, when I told you guys, like when I was saying some of the South Africans were coming to tell me or what they can, right? But that has nothing to do with the law. The international law is there to guide countries, how countries should behave against other countries. The international law is there. So there's not, it's not South Africans that will determine the international law. You understand? If you behave or you act against foreigners in a way that is not in line with the international law, the international community will react. It has nothing to do with whether you accept or not. You have to accept, but that's international law. The law that you have in South Africa is different. As you cross the border out of South Africa, is different. It's a different, that's international law. That's why you have international border, international law across. So those laws have to guide reciprocity. That's what they call it, reciprocity. If you treat this country this way, this country will want to treat you this way. If you treat this way, the country will say, okay, this is how we treat. You go with trade, you go with businesses, you go with diplomacy. Okay, so it has nothing to do with whether you want it to be this way or this way. The international law is there to guide countries, relationship among countries. Okay, if you want to behave somehow or you take laws into your hands, good and fine. So what, even if you behave wrongly, like South Africans or whoever behave wrongly in their country, it still has something to do with international law. Because you think that when you say this is my country, then you do whatever you want because it's your country. That's how international law says. International law international law protects everyone, whoever they are. So far as you are there in that country, that law protects you. That's why the immigrants that you guys mistreat, that are there like for asylum seekers or refugees, are covered by international law. You might like it, you might not like it, but that's refugees. That's how any signatory of the international law of refugee, that's how it works. Okay, you have to protect that person. So far as that person genuinely filed for asylum or genuinely filed for refugee status for what is happening in their own country. Okay, and you don't have to be the one to make the law. That's international law. Okay, whatever you do to that person has another effect on the international law because that person is being protected. Okay, and once you are a signatory of the international human rights law and for refugee, you have to accept asylum seekers unless you cancel being a member of that declaration of the protection of human rights and all the refugees. Okay, now Ramaphosa is telling the United Nations and the EU that they should not ban South Africa from traveling to Europe. You want to close your borders, but you want to visit other countries. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. The government of South Africa should spend more time to sensitize, to conscientize the South Africans who think that what they are doing in South Africa does not have ripple effect. Okay, what they are doing there is soiling the image of South Africans all over the world. So I've seen so many images. I saw one in Turkey where 3 Turkish guys who were sent away from South Africa, they went to Turkey and they also sent a South African away from their house. You see, so there was a South African renting in that other guy's house in Turkey, while these 3 guys were hustling in South Africa. When they were sent back to Turkey, they went direct. That lady was a South African lady renting their house. They kicked that girl out. You see, so you see how the relationship is. Okay, now Ramaphosa is saying that they call him. The presidents are calling him. Please, Mr. Ramaphosa, we are very sorry. We have to ban South Africa from coming to Europe. We have to. That's what Ramaphosa himself is saying. Why? Because of what is happening in South Africa. So you have to fix what is happening in South Africa to stop countries from banning South Africa too, right? What this Jacinta and the March for March thought is that when they discriminate against Africans, then the European will favor them. They can go to Europe, they can travel to other countries, but they don't know that that has a very, very negative effect on all what they're doing. You sending Africans and other countries, you don't know that it has effect against South Africa's image. I've seen some images here. I'm like, okay, now what they're trying to do is that the government of South Africa, instead of concentrating these March for March guys and telling them to stop what they're doing, Ramaphosa is still fighting to counter other African countries. I've seen in Congo, where the Congolese guys are attacking another shop, a South African owned shop, right? So what the South Africans are doing to foreigner shops there, the other countries have started doing to their own shops too. So that is what we're talking about. That what you do here, know that it can happen here. Don't think that if it happens this year, it cannot happen. So South Africans should instead tell this lady, and that is her March for March. I saw images of how they are looting shops every Thursday that she said they're going to do their march. So the March for March has turned to be looting and breaking of shops. You see, that's how it has turned to be. And instead, their goal of achieving no undocumented immigrants, no drugs, no thing, is instead turning to be something different. Okay, they have failed. They have failed in doing what they're trying to do, and the approach was wrong. The timing was wrong. The target was wrong. Everything that they did was wrong. Okay, so that's what happened, and we just saw a lot of other things happening. So they should learn and try to work against that and try to make sure that they fight against. I've seen so many South Africans trying to condemn what these guys are doing, and I'm very glad with that. Okay, not all South Africans are following this March for March. Okay, there are South Africans who are trying their best to say, hey, enough is enough of this nonsense. We cannot continue with this nonsense. So I'm very glad with that, and they should continue to condemn this madness that's going on there, because it has a lot of. I've seen one image. One lady is saying that she has denied to be South African. You know, you see, she refused to be South African. Why? Because of the image that is portrayed against South Africans now. You see, that is it. So hopefully, we're gonna see changes coming. Thank you.
Speaking, it is now I believe everything Donald Trump has been saying about South Africa. Sometimes last year I made a video about this particular issue, this G Summit, how why Trump refused to attend the G Summit in South Africa because South Africa hosted it, and he called South Africans hypocrites, that they are xenophobic. He called them that they do not like blacks in their country, and the president of South Africa is the pioneer of being xenophobic. You know, I came out and I debunked it that, oh, Trump is trying to paint South Africa blah, but this time around, now I'm beginning to see a reason with Donald Trump. Because the president of South Africa is xenophobic also, because if he is not xenophobic, he would talk against what Jacinta and her crew are doing in South Africa. Yes. So if they decide to cut them in the G20 summit, it is right. Let them cut them or let them stand on their own. Very soon, Trump will be cutting down all the aids that they are supplying to South Africa, because these people, they have done a lot. Let me know what you guys think about this particular video. Do you think it is right to cut out South Africans, you know, from the G20 summit? Please drop a comment below. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe and share.